Hello, welcome to Emma's Universe YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about tool number 6, which is practice self compassion. This one is a big one in my book as well. There's a lot of big ones, but oh my goodness gracious, it's so important to be kind to ourselves, especially in high pressure situation. We need to acknowledge that it's okay to feel stressed and that we're doing our best. Maybe if we are less harsher on ourselves, we say, well, we're our best, we're not. You know, we have to change the perception where we are because self compassion can reduce anxiety and improve your ability to think clearly. When I start something new, or when I'm faced with some challenges, but something new as well, because when you start something new, when you're in a project or when you do something at home or when things happen in your life, again, we have choices on how we respond. My takeout on that was from Sonia Choquette. I believe it's Sonia Choquette who did that. I think so. Well, we're going to attribute it to Sonia Choquette. We go messy. We don't go perfectly, we go messy. You have to think at yourself as an apprentice, a journeyman, and you become the master. Through all of our challenges and pressure and what we're doing in our lives at work or at home, give yourself compassion and say to yourself, I'm going to go messy. I am faced by a challenge, but I'm going to go messy. So that's mean I'm not going to reach for the perfection or what I assume perfection is. But I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to, tear it on apart and take chunk by chunk and deal with it. I'm going to work on the breathing technique, but I'm going messy and I'm open to it and I'm okay with that. That puts less pressure on you to resolve issues, or if you started a new business, to go into the business or new position, you get less pressure on you when you got this kind of attitude. It will switch the view and your perception on the situation. It's so easy to blame ourselves, and I've been extremely harsh toward myself, toward the way I do things, because I have high standard. I'm not going to lower down my standards. I have high standards. And a lot of people, I got criticized a lot in the past because I have a high standard for my professional life and for my personal life. And I even had people who said to me, well, you're never going to find somebody because you have too high standard. I said, well, I rather have high standards than low standard and end up with things that doesn't work. Because trust me, if you lower down your standards for your private life and bring all of the trash back in the house when you took it out of the house, you're not going to help yourself. So think about being compassionate toward yourself. Be gentle as much as you can. And don't criticize yourself. Remember that you do things the way you do at the time you're doing because you didn't know anything better. Now, that's not an excuse either, especially in the present time. In the past, you can understand that because you didn't have the full knowledge of the situation where you were in. Now you know. Now you know how you should be acting. Now you can change the way your patterns are, because you bring the awareness to the situation. Self-compassion can reduce your anxiety and improve your ability to think clearly. Yes, it does. Don't put yourself in a fly or fight mode and beat yourself up on the top of it because you're not going to be seeing any clarity. You're going to be angry at yourself and at the situation. Will bring more anxiety to you and the stress. What we need to do and what we're doing here with those tools is to provide you the key for you to disengage from a volatile situation to something more practical. I'm going to talk about that too. It's going to be awesome. It's like, I'm going to take an example. I was for a few months in an extremely volatile relationship with someone, and I had no idea what I was actually going in. Or let's put it this way. I did meet someone after the fire. I met somebody later on that came into, and I decided a joke because the guy did the pursuit. I did not do the pursuit because my goal was to go through the rubbles of my house. So I met somebody, and this individual had a background, a very volatile background, was, as I could see, making improvement in his life, and he was, changing and trying to do the good thing for himself, which was awesome. But he did the pursuit, and we kind of hang together. We talked. A very interesting person. However, where I was staying, I moved hundreds of miles away. So we were not in the same town. I don't know, was what, 2 hours away, something like that, of each other, which was, it is what it is. However, his demeanor changed. And he came to see me, and he decided to stay unbeknownst to me. So we're just like, okay. However, the situation escalated very quickly. It was extremely volatile to the point of I feared, and I don't get scared quite often, but I feared for my life and for the life of my dogs. This individual was being triggered by his mother every time he got her on the phone, and he would start to drink. And when he drank, then his personality changed to become violent. And he took all of his trauma from Mommy Dearest's past relationship and projected them on me. So I was the boogeyman. I became the boogeyman. And the first time he went to the extreme, it took me an entire night to calm him down. And you could see madness. You could see madness in his eyes, to the point that it's like, oh boy. So it took me an entire night to calm him down. And I was tired and I wanted to go to sleep. I could not, because he was so crazy. He wanted to kill people. He wanted to do this. He wanted to kill me. He wanted to kill everybody, basically. But he was projecting everything. So I was able to disengage, or help him to disengage, in the same time that I was asking the universe to shield me because it was so bad. And I brought compassion to myself until the following week again. And we were out, and this is where I refused to have any alcohol or anything after that. He went off in a bar, and I had no idea why. I have no idea what triggered him. And I got him out, and I'm like, what the heck? In a car, I thought he would destroy my car, actually, because he was beyond violent in a car. Went back to the place I'm staying, and traumatized. I never saw the dog, so scared, and Daddy was ready to defend myself. And he went to the point that he put his hands on me. He literally, he had a knife, because the knife, he had a long blade, and he was moving with the blade with his hands, put it under my throat. It was just a bad situation, and I would have called the cops. I would have not been here talking. So I had to disengage that, and I'm like in my head, holy crap, he moved to the next level when I was several feet from him, and he wanted me to hit him. He was trying to engage in violent behavior because he needed that to beat the crap out of me for some unknown reason, because I became the boogeyman on this one again. And again, he was projecting all of his fears and all of his madness. He took me, and I thought he took the entire night. It took about 2 hours for me to disengage. However, he did one big mistake that cost for him more than anything else. Was he approached me, put his hand on my shoulder, and violently pushed me. One rule from Emma: you do not touch me. That's crossing the line. So I stay calm, find a way to disengage, because I was talking to him very calmly. Never show any fears, never show anything, very peacefully to reduce this situation because I knew because he was moving the blade. I'm like, okay, he could very quickly, that 10-inch blade could end up in my ribs, could end up in my any part of my body, and I would bend down. And I'm like, I cannot have this happening here right now. But being able to, under that pressure, breathe within 2 hours, 2.5 hours, because I look at the clock, I'm like, I could not believe it. I thought it was the entire night. I was able to disengage with him. I got him out of the place too. He's on his merry way. He's not here around me anymore. However, you never know in which situation you're going to end up. How can you react? Because when you practice self-compassion to yourself under high pressure, not panicking, staying grounded, ensuring that everybody is safe, because there is a very high level of safety at that point, you look around and you need to be able to do this in order to think clearly. And my thought was, because he was trying to engage in a behavior that most individual, I would say 99.9% people would have responded to him when he was doing this to me. I did not, because I know that I did not, if I wasn't engaging, then we were safe. But it took 2.5 hours to have this to stop. And he had his meltdown, and I was able to calm him down, put him to bed. And I said, thank universe. I slept on one of the lazy boy chair I have, slept on a chair. I'm like, we're done. Then I was able to get him out and said, you need mental health. But he doesn't want help. He doesn't want that. But I practiced self-compassion under high pressure because I knew if I wasn't, then I must not be alive now. So you have to think about the self-compassion. You have to think about how can I practice that for myself as well. Bring the awareness as well. When you see people struggling like that, who really I had no idea, who's basically you learn with people. There's always the honeymoon phase, but because I was 100 plus miles away, his mind started to wander, like, I change, and what am I doing, and what do I do? I'm like, okay, I am here, what is your problem? He changed his behavior, and he was drinking, which I wasn't aware of when I was gone. So when you add all of this to it, you're like, okay, what is the situation? What am I supposed to do? How to deal with that? And he was extremely volatile. So you have to bring the practice of self-compassion. So I'm telling those story not for you to be sorry for me, because there is nothing to be sorry for me, but it's just to acknowledge that I would crumble and not have the practice of self-compassion for myself, for my pops, to remove myself from a very volatile and dangerous situation, high pressure situation, that would have turned different. When we go into a panic mode and the fight or flight mode situation come along, you have to bring the awareness of the situation. So you have to move the emotions, then you can feel, and you can very quickly analyze what's going on. And from there, disengaging. Trust me, I was glad that happened this time in my life, not at the beginning of my life, because I would have been totally different at that point. But it was very interesting to be able to disengage and realizing the patterns, being aware of, okay, something is not working right here. What can I do? Even though it was touchy at times, you have to set your boundaries. You have set the boundaries for your own self and for everybody. And I think that was one of the things I didn't like, because I set my boundaries and after that I was gone. Because again, like I said, when volatile situation happen like that in your life, you have to understand, not becoming a savior. Like I said to people, I'm not here to save people. You save yourself. This is your job. Nobody can save you unless you make the effort. When I was in a dark night of the soul last year, I needed the support. I needed my bouncing board, which I had. Um, and I'm glad about it. And I took care of myself. And I practiced self compassion toward myself for everything that happened. That's one of the major key as well. And you have to understand situation happen, we have a learning curve to do. We have a lot of things to do. But our lives sometimes it's not roses and bonbons. But we have to bring the awareness. What can I do to do not add fire to a situation? Having the awareness, the understanding, looking what really is happening, and realizing this individual wanted to go and save somebody. Problem is, I don't need to be saved. Actually, I save myself. I don't need somebody to come, and I'm not somebody else's project. That was his downfall. He was mad at me as well because I'm extremely independent and I did not needed him. And that did not sit well with him because he wanted to be the rescuer of some grandiose ideas. He is a wounded individual who, instead of seeking help for himself, think he can do it by himself and go get another projects. But if you don't take care of yourself, practice self-compassion, reaching out for help, I can guarantee you're going nowhere. And that individual went back to something even worse. But again, like we said, it's his monkey, his circus. He's going to have to learn his own way. But don't try to save people if you cannot help yourself. Nobody needs to be saved by you. You can be there for somebody who needs someone to be their mentor, their coach, somebody who wants to have an ear so they can voice. But if somebody doesn't want to do the work to heal, you cannot do it for them. That's something you have to realize. And I realized that way long time ago. I was 18 years old when I realized, yeah, I'm not here to save anyone. And you have individuals, and females have a tendency to do a little bit this more than men. They want, let's go save that. I want to be with him. I'm going to save him. No, 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 no. Doesn't work this way. Start to practice self-compassion toward yourself. Start to live a life where you are more grounded. Make the right decision on who is in your life and who's not or should not be in your life. But practice self-compassion. So we'll talk to you on the next tool.